That was very beautiful. But this is a really interesting story. It's hard to explain a gap on your CV to future employers, but what if the gap was years of military service?
Now, Sean's been looking into how ex-service personnel fare in the civilian jobs market. Morning, Sean.
Morning. Yeah, you'd think the skills you'd pick up there, we hear about employers talking about skill shortages all the time. There must be some link, but there's a bit of a problem, it seems. Morning, everybody. This comes from some research today from what's called the Veterans Employment Transition Support Programme. It's backed by big military charities, big businesses as well, like Barclays, Jaguar Land Rover are involved. And they reckon, they've done the maths, they reckon around 85,000 people will be leaving the armed forces in the next 5 years. But they're warning that around 1 in 5 of those leaving will go to a job that isn't making the most of the skills they've got. That's often called underemployed, is the term for people in that situation. They've also found around 10% of Army veterans will experience long-term unemployment. There's clearly some issue here. So to have a look at why this is happening, let's have a chat to Adam Bonner, who's from Forces Recruitment Services. They're a small firm specialising in getting ex-armed forces into work. Morning, Adam. So what are the big skills that you can pick up in your experience in the military forces that businesses would want?
There's tangible skills, first of all. So the most tangible skills will be things like engineering, trades, technical disciplines, and they're things that employers tend to relate to the most because they know what value they will add to a business. MBQs are now very, very prolific within the armed forces, so the training mechanisms that are provided are parallel to those within civilian life. So an employer can look at an MBQ, level 3, mechanical engineer, and know exactly what kind of value they're going to add to a business. The other things that are undervalued, though, and often aren't talked about, are the personal attributes that are developed whilst in service. So things like get the job done attitudes, things like employer loyalty, man management, conflict resolution. And I don't mean frontline conflict resolution. I mean talking with fellow colleagues, diffusing situations within the workplace, and pacifying potentially conflict-related issues.
So a lot of those people skills that we hear from employers that aren't necessarily coming through
a lot of soft skills,
the education system somehow that people could be getting from there. So why the gap there? Because that all sounds fantastic if you're a business looking to employ people like that. You've got the qualifications that a lot of people would need. You've got the people skills. Is it the military not supporting people enough because it's such a different type of workplace?
I think the mechanisms that the armed forces have put into place to support service leavers are fantastic. They go so far. What tends to happen when service leavers come out of service, and without pigeonholing the entire armed forces, is that they don't always understand how best to present themselves, what an employer is looking for. Do they want to see military experience within the CV, or don't they? Should the CV be demilitarised and softened to say middle manager rather than a specific military rank?
Right. Using the language that some businesses could actually understand.
Absolutely, yeah. Now our view is, as an ex-military recruiter, is if you spent 20 plus years in the armed forces, perhaps entering the armed forces from school, that represents a huge proportion of your working life and your formative years.
And before we go, just if you were leaving the armed forces, filling in your CV, you will have seen lots of these. What's the one tip you'd give somebody filling in that to try and give them the best chance of getting the job that they're after?
Differentiate. Make yourself look different from everybody else. And I think your forces background, your relevant skills, the experiences gained within service can do that. If you're in a pool of candidates and applicants, maybe of 10 or 12 people that have applied for a job, you need to set yourself apart. And your military background, if presented in the right way, could absolutely do that.
To pick it up a bit more.
Absolutely, yeah.
Adam, thank you very much. Adam Bonner from Forces Recruitment Services. Interested. Maybe military personnel aren't making the most on their CVs, being proud enough of what they've achieved, because we're so used to template CVs, aren't we?
It is an art, even writing a CV anyway.
Oh, completely.
Thank you both very much. Thank you.